What should I do when my information is involved in a breach? Every day, it seems like, we hear about another breach, another big company's been hacked, our data is out there somewhere, and we're all supposed to do something. What? What should I do when my information is involved in a breach? If your account is ever part of a breach, secure your account to avoid further risk. I'm Leo Notenboom. This is askleo.com. Thank you to the patrons of Askleo for making this all possible. askleo.com/patron for more information. Question. I received 2 notices below concerning my emails, Yahoo and Google, being exposed. I changed passwords on both. Is this common? If it reoccurs, what are my options? I have a lot of information stored in email accounts. Is there a backup application before getting new accounts? This happens to me from time to time as well. I want to be clear. Normally, this does not mean your accounts have actually been broken into. However, depending on the specifics of the breach and your own security habits, it could mean your account is at risk. Your initial response to change passwords is a good one. Data breach. What we call a data breach is nothing more than hackers having penetrated or breached a large company's computer security, gaining access to databases not normally publicly accessible. The database breaches we most commonly hear about are customer lists that include confidential information. The information normally exposed includes our names, email addresses, and hashed passwords. As long as the breached company has proper security, a breach does not include actual passwords. Additional information may include physical mailing addresses, phone numbers, and more, depending on what kind of information was collected by the company and how they secured it. It's important to realize that rarely, very rarely in fact, do hackers get your password. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't change it anyway. The first thing to do. If you have any concern at all, changing your password is exactly the right first step. Most of the time it's unnecessary, but since we can't predict when most of the time really is, it's by far the safest thing to do. Use this opportunity to change it to a secure password if you've been lazy in the past. You're at much higher risk if you had a weak password, even if the hackers didn't get the password this time. There are techniques hackers can use to figure out your password anyway. The weaker your password, the more likely they are to discover it. You're also at much higher risk if you use the same password elsewhere. The second thing to do. Depending on your personal security habits, the next step can get messy. Did you use that same password for other accounts? If so, go change the password at each of those other accounts. Make sure to give each a long, unique, strong password so you never use the same password twice. Use a password manager if you have trouble keeping track of it all. Doing so lets you use lots of different, complex passwords without needing to remember them yourself. The issue is simple. If a hacker is able to get your password for the account affected by the breach, they'll have an email address password pair. Those are often exact same login credentials you've used at other online services. Hackers know this and immediately start trying that combination at a variety of online services. If you use the same password at multiple sites, losing one could be as good as losing them all. This password reuse scenario has recently been blamed for several widespread account hijacks at popular, sometimes sensitive services. If your account has been hacked, if you suspect your account has been hacked and accessed by someone else, you need to do much more than just change a password. In short, you need to change or verify every bit of your account profile that could be used to reset or recover your password. For instance, phone numbers, security questions, and so on. If all you do is change your password, hackers can use those other factors to re-hack an account. They've also been known to change this information so they can get back in whenever they want, and you can't. There's much more to do after a hack than just resetting your password, and this applies to much more than just email accounts. Strongly consider two-factor authentication. This is the perfect time to consider two-factor authentication if your account providers support it. More and more providers are supporting it every day. Two-factor or multi-factor authentication is an added security layer that prevents hackers from signing into your account even if they know the password. I strongly suggest two-factor authentication along with complex and unique passwords for any account you consider even moderately sensitive. Spoiler, even the accounts you think of as throwaway or unimportant accounts are often much more important than you think. If it disappears, will you miss it? Is this common? You asked if this was common. Yes. We hear about massive account breaches regularly. In my opinion, the pace will only escalate. As I said, it happens to me semi-regularly. My email address shows up on several lists of breached accounts. I've changed more than a few passwords as a result. But even showing up on all those breaches, I've not been hacked. I believe that to be common as well, but there's no way to know for sure. Find out if your account is part of a breach. Aside from the various security and credit monitoring service that include this as a feature, you can look for your own email address on major breach lists. Have I Been Pwned is a free service that will tell you if your email address appears in any breach for which they have the data. You can also sign up to be notified if a new breach contains your email address. This is how I learned of my involvement in several breaches. They have another free service that will check your password. Pwned passwords. Using the same technology that prevents your password from being exposed in breaches, pwned passwords can tell you if a password you use was discovered in any breach anywhere. If so, then you know you must stop using that password. Backing up email. You also asked if there was a backup application for email should you decide to get a new account. Absolutely. It's called any desktop email program. Seriously, get a program like Thunderbird or Microsoft Office, Outlook, or any of a number of others. Install it on your PC, configure account access using IMAP protocol, and the program will dutifully download all of your email to your PC as a backup. On top of that, since I'm certain you're already backing up your PC, you'll be further protected that way as well. Back up your email regardless of whether you're involved in a breach or not. There are so many different ways you could lose access to your email. You simply must have a backup or you risk losing everything, often without warning or recourse. Remember, if it's in only one place, it's not backed up. For links related to this article or to leave a comment, visit askleo.com/22845. I'm Leo Notenboom. This is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.